everybody, welcome to another knitting tutorial. It's been a while, but I hope it's worth waiting for. In this video we are going to be making the open twisted rib stitch, and this is a really beginner friendly stitch even though it looks quite complicated. If you are brand new to knitting, then I highly recommend checking out my casting on tutorials and my knit stitch and purl stitch tutorials before attempting this particular stitch. But if you are familiar with that, what we're going to do is we are going to undo this and we're going to cast on a multiple of 5 plus 3 to begin. Okay, so to begin this stitch I have a stitch count of 10 plus 3, so I've got a stitch count of 13, so a very small little swatch. And our very first stitch we are going to purl. Okay, so I'm not going to go too slow because hopefully you already know how to purl. So I'm going to purl the first stitch. Okay, pop that off, nice and slow. And then we're going to do something a little bit new. We are going to knit, so we're going to put our yarn to the back. But instead of going through the front loop like we normally do, we're actually going to go through the back loop instead. So instead of the front loop, like a normal knit stitch, we're going through the back loop. And this is called a K1 TBL, so through the back loop. Okay, so then we just wrap the yarn round as normal and work on knit stitch as normal. Okay, so it kind of feels the same. Then we are going to do a purl again, so bring the yarn forward, do a normal purl. Okay, and then we are going to knit 2 as normal, so just 2 normal knit stitches through the front like this. Okay, 2 normal knit stitches, 1 and 2. Okay, that's our little first set of 5 done. And then we're just going to repeat that over and over again until we get to the last 3 stitches. So we go back to a purl, normal purl. Okay, then we're going to do that knit stitch, but it's the unusual one. So instead of going through the front loop, we're going through the back loop. So knit through the back loop instead. Okay, then we're going to purl 1 again. And then we knitted 2 as normal, so 2 normal knit stitches. Okay, 1 and 2. Okay, so you would repeat that until you get to your last 3. I've already got to my last 3 because this is just a little quick tutorial. So when you get to the last 3, we finish up with a purl. We do one of those unusual knit stitches where we go through the back loop instead of the front loop. So just go through the back loop, wrap the yarn round, and the very last stitch is going to be a purl. It's just a normal purl stitch. Okay, so that's our first row complete, and you can't see very much at the moment, but it will come together. Okay, moving on to row 2. So from row 2 onwards, this is our pattern repeat. So we never do row 1 again. We're going to go straight into row 2, and we're going to start off with a normal knit stitch. So a nice normal knit stitch. Okay, then we're going to purl 1 through the back loop. Now we bring the yarn forward as if purling, but normally we purl like this through the front loop. But as you can imagine, through the back loop, this can be a little bit more fiddly than the knit stitch. See if I can show you slowly. We're going to come from the back to the front through the back loop instead. Then we're going to wrap the yarn round and work a purl stitch. Okay, well, I'll show you that again when it appears again. Then we're going to knit 1 as normal, so the yarn goes to the back for a nice normal knit stitch. Okay, knit stitch. Okay, and there are our first 3. Now we're going to work the repeat all the way to the end, and I'll repeat for the next 5 stitches. It's it's going to be 2 normal purl stitches. So I'm just going for the front loop, 2 normal purls, 1 and 2. Okay, then we are going to do a knit stitch as normal, and then we're going to do an unusual purl through the back loop. So bring the yarn forward, but instead of going through that front loop, we're going to go through the back loop, but we need to come from the back to the front. It can be a little bit fiddly when you're trying to do it slowly. Okay, like so. Okay, and then wrap the yarn around and bring it up like a normal purl. And then we finish up with a knit stitch, a normal knit stitch. Okay, so that's going to be our repeat. So we repeat that again, 2 normal purl stitches, 1 and 2, a normal knit stitch, then we do an unusual purl. So instead of through the front loop, we come from the back through the back loop, and then we finish up with a normal knit stitch. Okay, and that's our row 2. So you would repeat those 5 stitches until you get to the end. Okay, moving on to row 3. So we start off with our repeat, and we're going to start off with a normal purl. So normal purl stitch to begin. Then we do a knit through the back loop. So instead of going through the front loop, we go through the back loop. Okay, but we're going from the front to the back when we do the knit stitches, the unusual knit stitches. Then we do a normal purl. Okay. Then we're going to do a normal knit stitch. Okay, and then we're going to make a stitch. So what we're going to do, we're going to bring the yarn forward as if we're going to do a purl, but we're going to do a knit stitch. So your yarn is here at the front, and you can see you're adding a stitch here when you wrap it around to do the next knit stitch. So we've added a little extra stitch in there. So that's a little bit unusual. And then we're just going to repeat that until we get to the last 3. So to show you that again, it's a normal purl stitch. Then we do our unusual knit stitch where we go through the back loop. Okay. Then we do a purl stitch. Then we do a knit stitch, a normal one. Then we need to make a stitch, so we're going to bring the yarn forward, but we're going to work a knit stitch as normal. And just make sure when you're wrapping the yarn round that that sits nice and neatly there, so you're adding a stitch, like so. And once you've got to the last 3, once you've finished your repeat, we're going to finish up with a normal purl stitch, a fancy knit stitch, so we're not going through the front, we're going through the back. Let's call them fancy now. And then a purl stitch to finish. Okay, and that is row 3, and your stitch count should have gone up by a few extra stitches. So per set of 5, you should have added a stitch. So for me, I now have a stitch count of 15 because I added 2 stitches. Then we're going to move on. Don't worry, the stitch count is going to go back down. So we're going to move on to row 4, and we're going to start off with a normal knit stitch to begin. Nice normal knit stitch. I'm going to do a fancy purl stitch. So instead of going through the front loop, we're going to really twist. Helps to sort of twist your project towards you, and then come from the back through that back loop. Then work your purl stitch. Okay. Then we're going to do a knit stitch, normal knit stitch. That's your first 3. Now we do our repeat of 5. And for this repeat, we're going to purl 3. So we're going to purl 3 normal stitches. 1. This one might seem a bit strange because it's that weirdly added stitch. 2. Purl another one. 3. So we've purled 3. And we're going to knit 1 as normal. Okay. Then we are going to do a fancy purl stitch. So we're going to come through the back loop. So purl through the back loop. And then we knit 1 to finish that set of 5. Okay, so it was not 5, isn't it? You've got actually a set of 6 here because you've got the extra stitch. But we're going to repeat that. We're going to do purl 3. Purl 3 normal stitches. 1, 2, 3. We knit 1 as normal. Okay, then we do a fancy purl, so purl through the back loop, and then we finish with a knit stitch. Okay, and that's the end of row 4. That's what it looks like on the back. You get sort of ribbing. This is the front. You can see you've added these little tiny holes here. And the very last row before you repeat rows 2 to 5 is we bring our stitch count back down. Start off with the repeat. So we're going to do a purl first. Nice normal purl stitch. Okay. Then we knit, do a fancy knit stitch. So instead of going through the front loop, we're going to go through the back loop. So knit 1 through the back loop. If I can get into the back loop. There we go. Knit 1 through the back loop. Then we purl 1 as normal. Then we're going to knit 3. So knit 3 as normal. 1, 2, 3. But what we want to do now is we want to reduce our stitch count down. So find this third stitch along here. So 1, 2, 3. Find that third stitch and just hook it onto your needle and just pull the tension on here, and we're going to pop it over these 2 stitches, and it creates, keeping it loose, it creates this nice little stitch here which looks really lovely, and we reduced our stitch count back down. Okay, then we're going to repeat that to the last 3 stitches. So we purl 1 as normal. We do a fancy knit stitch, so we go from through the back loop. Okay. Then a normal purl stitch. Then we knit 3 as normal. So 1, 2, and 3. Then we need to grab that third stitch here, just pull the tension on there, and we're going to pop those over the first 2 stitches like so, and then we're up the last 3 stitches. Once we got to the end, we're going to finish up with a purl, a fancy knit stitch through the back loop, and then a normal purl stitch. Okay, and that is the end of row 5, and that is our pattern complete, like so. So you would repeat rows 2 to 5, so row 2, 3, 4, and 5, as many times as you like to get this beautiful pattern. So I'm going to repeat rows 2 to 5 again and just come back and show you what another row of this pattern will look like. And there we go, I have just repeated rows 2 to 5 once again, and this is what the back looks like. And if we turn it over, we get this beautiful open twisted rib stitch. There we go. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I hope you managed to follow along, and do let me know in the comments below if you like this stitch and what other stitches you would like to see. So here's a little, if I just move this over, here next to the screen is the details of the stitch. You can just screen grab this, and so you don't have to follow along again. You can just remember how to do it. And I will see you soon for some more crochet and some more knitting fun. Thanks for watching. Bye.